Kita ra?
Yes. Kita ra.
Okay, start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So we are tasked to discuss about Indonesian literature. Next. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about Indonesia. So the capital of Indonesia is Jakarta. Indonesia, formerly known as Dutch East Indies. The Greek word Indus meaning India and Nessos meaning island. So Indonesia is the world's fourth most populous country and the most populous Muslim majority country. Indonesia is the world's largest island country and the 14th largest country. Indonesia or Indonesia is the national language. So kaning bahasa language kay gi-choose ni sa Indonesia as national language para ma-promote ang unity and communication across diverse archipelago. Next slide. Now let's talk about Indonesian literature. Indonesian literature, a term grouping various genres of Southeast Asian literature. It can refer to literature produced in Indonesian archipelago. It also used to refer more broadly to literature produced in areas with common language roots based on the Malay language. Indonesian literature refers to literature produced in Indonesian writers. So, ang Indonesian literature, nag-refers lang sila sa mga literature na na-produce sa ilahang writers. So, nag-produce ang ilahang writers og literature both Indonesian language and regional languages. It includes a wide range of literary works such as novel, short stories, poems, and plays. So, included na diri ang katong Mahabharata and Ramayana. Indonesian literature characterized by its diverse cultural and ethnic influences. So it reflecting their country's rich history and its position as a crossroad of different cultures. It also reflects not only the contemporary social and political condition of their country, but also its tradition and values. So, mga na ang Indonesian literature. In early Indonesian literature was influenced by Malay literature, and this influence continued into the 20th century. The most important Indonesian literature are in Javanese and Malay during atong kuan. Na-influence ang Indonesian sa Malay literature atong 20th century. So the earliest known Javanese literature dates back to 9th or 10th century. So there are some notable writers in Indonesian literature. They are, next slide, they are Pramoedya Anantana Tour, Ayu Utami, Raden, Ajing Kartini. So sila ang mga notable writers sa Indonesian. Next slide. Now let's talk about Pujangga Lama in Indonesian literature, the literates of olden times. So Pujangga Lama or the Old Poets was written before the 20th century. So diri na to nag-start katong na-influence ang Indonesian sa Malay literature atong 20th century. Pujangga Lama, a lively oral tradition using traditional Malay language literature. So the Pujangga Lama literature was written after the arrival of Islam, but there was likely an oral tradition before that. So oral pa man jud ang mga literature sa una, no. So the work of Pujangga Lama were instrumental in shaping the national identity and consciousness of the Indonesian people. So there are also notable writers of Pujangga Lama. They are Abdul Muiz, Sultan Takder, and Hamka. So sila ang mga notable writers atong sa Pujangga Lama sa Indonesian. Their writings were not only influential in shaping the development of Indonesian literature, but also their writings is helping in advancing the movement of independence from Dutch colonial rule. So today, the work of Pujangga Lama continue to be an important part of Indonesian literature and the culture of Indonesia, as they provide a glimpse into the country's rich literary heritage and its struggle for independence. So ngun ani ka importante sa ilaha ang Pujangga Lama para sa ilahang country's rich literary. So that's all for my part. Thank you everyone.
Okay. Next, we have traditional forms of Indonesian literature. Madungog ako madungog ako, no? Yes. First, we have the sha'ir, or what we know, the traditional narrative poetry. It is typically consists of quatrains, four-line stanzas with a consistent rhyme scheme. It is often used to tell stories ranging from historical accounts to moral or religious tales. So kanina, type of traditional forms is kuan siya kanang ang purpose ani niya is to teach lessons, to teach the historical events, to teach the some of the religious tales na pwede makuha sa mga bata, mga moral lesson, mga moral and lessons na pwede pod makuha sa mga bata, and not just sa mga bata but also sa mga dagko pod for them to know, no, sa kuan sa Indonesia rather. This poetry style was widely popular in Mala literature and is closely related to the oral tradition of storytelling in Indonesia. Kuan siya closely related to the oral tradition because kuan siya kanang ning mixture siya of written and orally presenting the poetry, just like na uban na mag-write sila and then they present it in a large audience, like mag sa spoken poetry may ana, tapos other than kanang magtapok-tapok sila, pwede po na nila na story or poetry nila na kay kanina type of form of traditional sa Indonesia kay kuan siya, pwede siya mahimong song. Pwede siya mahimong song. Shair is didactic in nature. Didactic means teaching a lesson or teach something na makakuha ta ana na form, intended to educate listeners or readers on moral lessons. So we have example, natay example ani no, kani siya. Although dili ni siya tanan kay taas jud kay ning Shair Bidasari, dili siya tanan. Pero naanang ko'y gi-specific ani na gikuha. No, then gipa-translate na ko siya kay best friend which is the ChatGPT. Then ang iyang English translation is once upon a time the story goes of a wise king. Nani siya rhythm ha, nani siya kuan pero wala di ko kabalo kung saan ni siya pag deliver. Pero mo na siya. And ang purpose ani na poem is to narrate, 'di ba na Once upon a time na a wise king ruling his land, ruling his people with wisdom and care. Muna siya. And then there is a second stanza as what we have seen na quatrains jud siya kay naa siya 4 lines each stanzas. And then there was a maiden dali nag-narrate na niya na si Belisari is beautiful beyond compare. And then sa last stanza, which focus na dari ang life. And the last line po dari, for faith of God, none can sway. Dari, gi-focus dari na sa faith, kuan ni God, wala joy sa tawagan walay makalihay. Kung unsa joy nakadestined sa emuha, nakadestined, destiny. Yes, kana. So joy sa emuha. Next, we have the second form, traditional form of Indonesian literature, which is the pantun or the disconnected couplets. Couplets means a pair of consecutive lines of poetry that usually rhyme and have the same or similar meter and rhythm. Pantom is a poetic form made up of quatrains where the two lines and the last two lines seem connected, yet come together in meaning. So, ang kanina type of poetry no, traditional forms is upat siya, quatrains ra Japon siya, pero ang each two lines have their own meaning. 'Di ba? Na siya meaning. Pero dili siya konektado. Makita na nato na siya kana siya example unya. It's a form of wordplay and often used in everyday conversation, rituals, and performances. So, pwede po siya sa everyday conversations, just like muingon ta na kanang mga impactful bitaw ng mga kuan pero di walay connect kana makakuha tag lesson pero ang upat ka lines each two lines dili siya konektado ang meaning niya. The uniqueness of pantom lies in its use of metaphor, symbolism, and humor, allowing poets to communicate emotions and ideas indirectly. So, kani siya ay example. Berlayer Cloud in Si Anak ni Lion, which is translated by ChatGPT, sailing to the sea, the fisherman's child. Bring along fresh fish. If you wish to reach your dreams, struggle with patience. So, kani siya ang couplets, kani siya. Kana, kaning two lines, sailing to the sea and bringing along fresh fish, connected ni silang duha. Meaning, ang gipot ani is about say a child sailing and carrying fresh fish mo siya. But the last two lines, if you wish to reach your dreams, struggle with patience. So, ang putpasabot ani is all about the importance of patience. So, kung ato ang buot unahon ang each two lines have different meanings and dili siya konektado. Muna siya ang panton, rather. Next, we have the third traditional forms, which is the Gurindam. And kung i-search ninyo mo sa Google, Gurindam jud siya. Mao siguro ang pagbasa ni Gurindam. Or the brief aphorism. What do you mean by aphorism? Aphorism is a concise, insightful, and often philosophical statement or observation that expresses a general truth, principle, or idea. So, ang aphorism, maskin mubo siya na words, phrases, or unsa ba kaha, impactful siya. Makakuha Japon ka og lesson. Just like for example, unya na example. A form of brief, a kurindam naman is a form of brief philosophical poetry that often takes the form of an aphorism. So, connected rin na sila, kurindam o aphorism. It is a concise statement conveying wisdom or a moral. It plays an important role in sharing ethical teachings and social values similar to Proverbs. Kabalumanta na ang Proverbs, even though gamay ra kay na siya na phrase or gamay na ka na siya na words, kay gamay ra ka na siya na sentence kay impactful and makakuha jud ta og meaning. Just like for example, katong um, knowledge is power. Three words pero grabe na kay siya ka-impactful. Action speaks louder than words. Nga na, ing-ana ng mga phrases kay kurindam na siya. They are memorable due to their brevity and serve as tools for passing down cultural wisdom across generations. Just like this. Diba? Raha Ali Hae. So, ang translation ani niya sa Pasal 1 is, whoever does not hold to religion shall never have a name worth mentioning. So this means, this reflects the importance of religion and moral integrity in a person's identity and reputation as perceived in traditional Malay culture. So it talks about the importance of religion, maskin duhara na siya duhara na siya ka-line, but it gives memorable expression to the audience or to the readers, 'di ba? Muna siya ang Kurindam. So, ang tulo ka three traditional forms in Indonesia literature. We have the Syair, traditional narrative poetry, the pantun, disconnected couplets, and the Corindam, which is the brief aphorism. Brief, from the word brief, mubo radyo. So that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so good morning everyone. Madungog ra ko?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, sige. So let's continue with the fourth traditional form of Punjanga Lama literature under the Indonesian literature. So hikayat. Palihog ko. Next. Okay. So hikayat or also known as the stories, fairy tale, or animal fables and chronicles. So it is from Arabic word which means stories. So ang hikayat word is an Arabic word which means stories. And it is a form of Malay literature which relate the adventures of national heroes of Malayan kingdoms or royal chronicles. So the reason why it is stated here that hikayat is a form of Malay literature is because the Indonesian literature is influenced by this literature, which is Malay. Diba, as stated ni Miss Villa Gonzalo earlier sa introduction. So, Indonesian literature, nag-evolve siya from Malay literature as it formerly used the Malay language sa ilahang literature. However, in the present times, Indonesian have developed their own language and they are using it now in their literature to reflect their diverse cultures and historical experiences, especially sa ilahang colonial past and post-independence experiences. So basically, Malay and Indonesian literature, nag-share sila og linguistic and cultural foundation, which over time nag-diverge to reflect the unique histories, languages, and cultural identities of each country. Now, in the Indonesian literature, the form hikayat doesn't only focus on the form hikayat doesn't only focus on the adventures of national heroes or royal chronicles, but it also covers fairy tales, legends, stories about animals, fables, and mythologies. And this story or the stories in this form, though nag-based siya sa history, are heavily romanticized, meaning that kanabitaw na ay kanang mga love siya ba, romance. And these stories were historically transmitted through oral tradition before siya nasulat, and they became a prominent literary form in the Malay-speaking world, including the Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. So many hikayat stories have strong moral or didactic message, meaning mostly sa ilahang mga stories is nag-teach bitaw siya og lessons, especially about loyalty, bravery, justice, and kanang consequences of moral or immoral actions. And these stories were often used as tools to instill values in society. Palihog kog next. So, for example, mo ni siya nga example. Example of Hikayat, a story of Kuja Maimun and Siti Zainab. So, sa story is si Kuja Maimun mao ang lalaki and Siti Zainab ang babae. So si Kuja Maimun is naibog siya ni Siti Zainab and they got married. Dayon one day nagpalit sila og parot. Parot og Mayna bird. So ang parot is makaistorya siya and the parrot was able to foretell the future. And because of his stories, adventurous stories nga iyang ginaistorya, na-encourage si Kuja Maimon to travel and explore the world. Morning travel siya, though gibilin niya ang parot kang Siti Zainab. Now, while Kuja Maimon is away from Siti Zainab, si Siti Zainab is na in love siya sa prince. And then, in order to stop her from committing adultery, ang gibuhat sa parot is nagtell siya og story kang Zainab. And na-carried away sa story si Zainab, that's why nalimtan niya ang murag iyang feelings bitaw sa nalimtan niya, and then the next evening ang parot is naghimo na po siya another story, and through storytelling sa parot is murag na occupied bitaw si Zainab. That's why murag wala na siya na kuan sa prince kay tungod sa story sa parot. Until nga nimbalik na si Kuja Maimon from his adventure. So the morals that we can get from the story is all about pala. Loyalty and faithfulness, the consequences of temptation, wisdom and destruction as tools for good. And so let's talk about the loyalty and faithfulness. So ang one of the moral, loyalty and faithfulness kay si Siti Zainab's or Siti's loyalty to her husband, Kuja Maimon, is nagpabilin gid siya because of the help of the parrot and the consequences of temptation. So Siti's attraction to the prince, nagrepresent siya og how easily people can be swayed by fleeting desire. So murag dali ra kay matintal bitaw ang tao sa kumbaga panandali ang saya like that, and which can lead to unwise decisions, di ba? And then last is wisdom and destruction as tools for good. So the parrot uses storytelling as a way to distract Siti from committing a wrongful act, which is adultery. And it suggests that wisdom and cleverness can prevent harmful actions, and that sometimes distractions or redirections can help us keep ourselves on the right path. So makaingon jud ta nga dili tanang distraction nga mahitabo sa tong life is bad siya for us, but actually it helps us to redirect our paths. Like wata kabalo nga katuday atong gipili nga kuan nga path is diba dili day siya good for us. That's why na redirection nga mahitabo to keep us on the right path nga mas maayo para sa ato. Gets ra?
Yes.
Okay. So next is the symbolisms in the story. So the parrot, first is the parrot, the second Kuja Maimon's journey, then the prince and storytelling of the parrot. So first symbolism is the parrot. So the parrot symbolizes wisdom, vigilance, and loyalty. It can also represent the voice of conscience or societal expectations, which is not to commit adultery, na nag-remind ni Siti nga buhaton iyang duty as a wife, as a woman, and as an individual. Next is Kuja Maimon's journey. So ang journey ni Kuja Maimon, pwede siya mag-symbolize og uncertainties of life, like the risks that come with seeking fortune, like kung unsay mga distractions or struggles or challenges nga na-face sa usa ka tawo when they travel or when they take on a journey. And his absence, nagtest siya sa strength sa relationship nila ni City, which is nag-represent kung unsa ang mga external factors or external pursuits can sometimes create kanabitang vulnerabilities between two people. Sorry. Then the prince. So the prince represent siya og temptation and fleeting pleasure. So nag-serve siya as distraction from City's duties and loyalty. And nag-highlight siya sa kuan bitaw kung how attractive yet shallow desires can disrupt commitments and bring potential harm to a person. And lastly is storytelling of the parrot. So the act of storytelling by the parrot is a symbolic of guidance, tradition, and morality. So, di ba sa mostly sa mga cultures is ang stories are ginahimo nila or ginasulat nila to impart values and ethical lessons. And here's sa story nga about ni Kodja Maimon og ni Siti Zainab is nagtabang siya ni Siti to maintain her virtue, to uphold her dignity and kanang do her duty as a wife of Maimun. So in summary, the story of Kodja Maimun and Siti Zainab is nagsuggest siya loyalty and self-control nga mao ni silang two aspects or two virtues nga nindot siya i-maintain sa usa ka tawo even though naay daghang temptation sa palibot. And it also shows that sometimes external forces like kanabitang wisdom of a loyal friend, which is sa story is represented by the parrot, can help us stay true to our commitments and can help us to stay on the right path. And next, please. Okay, so the last traditional form is the babad. Babad. So babad or the histories or chronicles. So the babad or historical chronicle is widely known as a genre of traditional Javanese literature. So the genre came to Sunda in the 18th century through the Javanese administrators who occupied certain territories of Sunda. So ang babad is, as you can see, nag-refer siya sa chronicles, historical chronicles or epic narratives nga nag-recount sa history, genealogy, and significant events nga associated sa Indonesian kingdoms, especially sa island sa Java. Galing na gi-refer siya as traditional Javanese literature kay gikan siya sa island of Java. So the genre came to Sunda. Ang Sunda is a place located in West Java. And mostly sa form bitaw ani nga this form is written by or for the royal court. So ginasulat siya by or for the royal courts. That's why most of the morals that can be gained from these chronicles under Babad are about leadership, justice, and loyalty. So they are meant to teach future kings or leaders on how to act wisely and govern justly. So some examples of Babad are Babad Tanajawi. Babad Tanajawi or the Chronicle of the Land of Java, which tells the history of Java from the mythical origins of the island through the rise of various kingdoms, including the Majapahit and Mataram. And it covers the arrival of Islam and the establishment of the sultanates and conflicts among royal families. So mostly sa ilahang mga kuano kay about Islam. So next, please. Okay, so for the Punjanga Lama literature under the Indonesian literature, mao ni siya ang suggested piece na nasa kuan ni sir. Syllabus. So ang title is Everybody Has His Burden. I don't know kung naka-encounter na ba mo ani. About ni siya atong kuan, to bitong mangga nga kuan. Ang kuan sa mangga, ang mga part sa mangga like roots, leaves, trunk, fruit is nag-away sila kung kinsa ba jud ang naay pinakabugat nga kanang pinakabugat nga role bitaw or pinakabugat nga challenges or challenge. So Everybody Has His Burden is an Indonesian folktale which explores the theme of shared struggles and universal nature of burdens. So nag-originate ang kaninga story, Everybody Has His Burden, is sa Indonesian culture, specifically sa Javanese tradition. And And it is often used to convey moral lessons about empathy and understanding others' hardships. And nag-explore ni siya sa theme of shared struggles and the universal nature of burdens. So in the tale, various parts of mango tree, like the roots, trunk, branches, leaves, and fruit, begin to argue about which part bears the heaviest burden, and each part claims that its role is the most challenging. So ang summary, money summary niya. So the roots argue that they have the hardest job as they have to dig deep into the soil to anchor the tree and absorb nutrients. Then the trunk believes it bears the most weight by supporting the entire structure of the tree. The branches complain about holding up all the leaves and fruit, and the leaves argue that they constantly face the sun and endure the weather. The fruit believes that they suffer the most as they are ultimately picked, eaten, or left to fall or rot. So, ilang argument is nagpadayon gid siya hangtod nga kuan ang kadausan nila nga parts is fixated na bitaw kay sila sa ilang own challenges, and wala na nila na nahuna-huna or na-realize nga ang other parts nila is naglisod pod. So this folktale simply illustrates how people are prone to complaining about things and how they can dismiss someone's situation simply because they believe they are carrying a heavier burden than others. So common na gyud kay ni siya ngayon ani nga kuan. Nga permi na lang mag-complain wala without realizing naa pa day mas nabugatan. Okay, so symbolism in Everybody Has His Burden. So there are six symbolisms. First is the mango tree. So the mango tree symbolizes the society or a community where different individuals, which is represented by various parts of the tree, play essential roles. And each part of the tree works together to create a healthy whole, much like how individuals in a society must cooperate to thrive. Second is roots. The roots represent the foundation or support system, such as family, culture, or tradition that sustains the community. So they illustrate how often unseen or unrecognized roles that are still crucial. Di man makita, contribute siya, dako siya contribution sa usa ka kuan sa kahoy. Just like the society, ang mga family, like the family tradition or culture is sometimes dili siya ma-neglect bitaw siya though ma-neglect siya pero dako kay siya og tabang sa society. Next is trunk. So the trunk represents the strength and stability within a society or family structure. It symbolizes those who bear significant responsibilities, often providing support to others. Next is branches. So the branches signify growth and outreach, extending the influence and resources of the community. They represent those who connect different aspects of society and support others. So matawag na to nga ang branches are those like kanang mga nabita sa political sector, like mga governor, something like that. Kay sila may nagkuan, mo reach out sa upper like upper head or something like that. It's like sa president sila ang mo reach out to kuan to ask for funds para sa ilahang city or province. The next is leaves. The leaves symbolize protection and sustenance, like soldiers or lawmakers in some interpretations. And as they play a role in nurturing the tree by producing food through photosynthesis. They may also represent individuals who endure harsh conditions to benefit others. Great example ano niya is soldiers. Guys, sometimes I dig it siya sometimes. Soldiers are kanabitaw mao na sila yung nasa front line bitaw to protect our country. Next and last is the fruit. So the fruit symbolizes the outcome or reward of everyone's hard work, like children or future generations. And it can also represent those who face sacrifices at the end or the end result of a collaborative effort. So ang fruit symbolizes reward. So what is the moral of the story? Next pa daw. Palihog. Wala na dahil. Okay, so what is the moral of the story? Last na gini siya. So the story illustrates that everyone has their own burdens and challenges to bear. And each of which is unique and important in its own way. Di ba ang tao is lahi-lahi man dyan nag-experiences. Di man gyud ka makaingon nga naka-experience ko like same challenges or same